very late. It's 11:30. Had a little bit of a busy day for me today compared to normal. And you know what part of it consisted of was a doctor's appointment. I'm talking stethoscope, I'm talking breathe in and out, measuring my lungs, whatever, and I'm talking blood work. Regardless of if you're a fucking gearhead freak or even just a regular ass guy, you should be getting your blood work done on a reasonable basis. For one thing, because it's pretty much the number one indicator of what's going on inside your body, hormone wise, fucking lipid wise, everything wise. But it'll highlight shit that you may not have, recognized. Any serious deficiencies in fucking, vitamins or nutrients or whatever else. It really is one of the most comprehensive ways to get the gist of what's going on underneath the hood. And if you're the type of lifter who has to get that done on a consistent basis, then you definitely need to. So do not. If you were curious, don't worry. I am keeping a close eye on how all my internal functions are functioning. And if anything were to get too out of whack, you can bet your gosh dang bottom dollar that I'm gonna do my damnedest to reroute and adjust accordingly. Gotta make sure I'm kicking for quite a while so I can grow even more. But that leads me to now for arms. For arms. I don't know, I had such a weird inflection there. But we all know the deal. We all get the basic gist. Curls, pushdowns, machine dips, preachers, maybe some easy bar supersets toward the end. It's really just kind of whatever catches my fancy in a way. And this is one thing which, just for context, I think is worth mentioning. But I am much more excited about my training when I'm bulking up versus when I'm dieting down. And that's not to say that I'm not excited about my training. I mean, when I'm actually in the gym, I feel like my effort levels are pretty fucking similar, regardless of my state. But I put a lot more emphasis on ensuring that I have like the best possible workout every fucking time possible when I'm bulking up and trying to manually grow new muscle tissue. Because, I don't want to say this to make it seem like it's easier, but to an extent, if you're looking at this based on kind of an objective sort of perspective, growing new muscle demands far more effort and consistency than maintaining the muscle that you already have built on your frame. So if you're curious, if you're commenting, Sam, why haven't you grown in the last 2 months? What do you think, man? I've been dieting down. I'm not growing any new muscle tissue. All I'm doing is getting a bit leaner, taking off the fat on the outside, and holding on to as much as I can, so that when I start this next bulking phase, I'll be lean, and I mean like leaner than normal for me specifically, and I'll have a little bit of fluff work to play with, or a little bit of room to play with in terms of gaining body fat. So even if I gain 10 pounds of body fat, I won't be pushing myself into the like fucking fupa range just because I started off lean to begin with. But I'll kind of clarify one more time. I say this a lot. Here's baseline, right? This is let's say this is 200 pounds right here, right? If you can imagine this as a graph, 200 pounds. Start 200, bulk up really hard, solid bulk to 230, cut down to 210. Now I'm just as lean at 210 as I was at 200. So what does that mean? That means I've got 10 new pounds of muscle tissue. Bulk up to 240, cut down to 220. Another 10 pounds. 250, 230, 260, 240. So that's where I'm kind of at now, that 240 mark. So once the floodgates open per se, and I move from eating in a calorie deficit, I'm talking lean, I'm talking flat, I'm just talking not a lot of calories. Once I get into pretty much slightly above maintenance for the first month, and then gradually increase calories over time to accommodate for my kind of, you know, adjusting to whatever calorie intake I'm eating. Because your body will essentially get used to whatever you're feeding it, and it will eventually stop stimulating any new growth. So that's why you got to constantly be sort of in a battle with yourself with improvements. You got to train harder as a year 5 lifter than you did as a year 1 lifter. Kind of diminishing returns kind of style. But once that starts, then I'll really be back to fucking, freakzilla in a way. Like I think, I mean, I'm gonna be pretty pumped today too from arms, but an arm pump after a few weeks of 800 grams of carbs per day. Let's just say it's a different animal and the same beast, if you know what I'm referencing there. But yeah, so what I'm getting at, what I'm kind of getting at in a very long roundabout way, is the amount of energy and stimulus required for me to maintain my muscle size right now. It's just not as much. So I really get excited, and I think this is just subjective for my kind of mental state. But I really love the process of the gaining muscle, the building it, dieting down, getting leaner, and then kind of showing it off. Like, that's cool, but it doesn't do it for me as much as actually building it. At heart, I don't think I'm meant to be lean. I think I'm meant to be big and bulked. But then again, I'm only saying that right now. I'm sure, I'm sure in the future when I do a serious dieting phase, I'm talking like show ready lean, peeled to the bone, I may think a little differently. But what do I even need to say this? Is that even a point that needs to be made? Sam loves bulking. You're saying the sky is blue at that point. We all get it. But 11:43 now. I'm sure a couple of you are watching this at about the same time. 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock being a little earlier. That could just be part of your normal routine. But it's getting late, man. It's getting pretty late. You got to wake up kind of early tomorrow. Are you going to lift? Or are you just fucking, you getting nice and cozy in bed? Are you rolling up on the couch, petting the kitty, and just like, ooh, let's make today a rest day? Come on, man. That's up to you. That's up to you. I know that if David Goggins were sitting right here next to me, he may not be so interested in just more of a bodybuilding arm workout, but his ass is going to get up and grind no matter how hard it gets. So take some motivation from real crazy characters like that. And honestly, I mean, just fucking, it doesn't even have to be a real person. The source of which you get your motivation, and kind of any sort of character that you might idolize or want to kind of imitate or take away from, be it fucking real, fictional. I'm talking Goku, I'm talking Baki. Does it really fucking matter? Whoever it is that gets you hyped up when you watch like a TikTok edit or like a music video or whatever, if that gets your fucking heart pumping, and like, okay, yeah, this guy is doing something that I like and that I wish that I could do too. I mean, that gets me going. Every time I watch a fucking old school 2000s and earlier bodybuilding motivational edits, be it a guy like Mike Mentzer, Tom Platz, I'm talking OG Arnold Schwarzenegger, or said that like Arnold and Schwarzenegger were two different people. Arnold, Franco, Dorian, Ronnie, Jay, name drop every badass bodybuilder under the sun. When I see videos of those guys and they're training hard and they look like fucking freaks, I mean, that just turns on my fucking turbo button. So let's stop chatting about it. Go have a badass arm day. Presumably with nobody in the gym. I feel like everybody's either sleeping or getting into trouble. That's probably the majority of people, honestly. How many people are? Yeah, we get it. Let's just get started. I'm totally rambling right now. I can definitely tell I've been awake all day. Plus, a little low on sugar, so I'm not. You gotta remember, your brain runs on glucose. to quote a certain actor from a certain recent movie, if you know what I'm talking about there. But let's get started, and we're chatting. So this actually took me a second to fucking decide on, because I was like about to do some really heavy push downs, but I could tell my elbows were a little extra tender. And then I was going to start with the rope, and I'm like, I just didn't really feel right either. So I think some heavy single arm push downs will do me some good. And that's one thing I'm a little bit extra picky on. It's just kind of the subjective feeling of whatever movement I'm doing. Because when I'm dieted down and I'm not full of like nearly 1,000 fucking grams of carbs a day and a crazy amount of fats, I mean, when you're bulked up, you're just kind of full of fucking, just kind of good fluids, which are going to help you recover faster. So I can tell the only times I ever have creeping aches and pains, it's when I'm trimmed down. I'm not running on so much fucking extra energy to heal up all my little tweaks or whatever. So I am a little bit extra careful about not hurting myself, dieting especially. And you should know that. You are a little bit more prone to, let's just say, fuckery. But let's do a heavy set, single arm, right side first, since my right tricep's a little weaker, and then go from there. Okay. One more like that. If that one feels good, I'll do another one. If that one feels good, I'll do another one. I mean, I could definitely see a fucking possible future where I only do this for the whole lift. But probably not. What I mean to say there, though, is if you're doing some kind of dumbbell curl and it is just feeling fucking perfect, and you do 3 really good sets, there's an argument to be made. So just keep busting out those sets, because that movement just clicks on whatever given day. Now, your training is going to get stale if every workout you only did the exact same movement and set on repeat. But if things are fucking clicking, I think just ride it. One more. Another positive to single-sided movements like this, you can give yourself assistance with your free hand. Dude. And actually, focus up. If you're watching this video passively, pay attention. This is a tip that I want you to hear. If you do a set to failure, if you do a set of pull downs
or a set of dumbbell curls or barbell curls or cable pushdowns or pullovers or whatever, if you do a sets of failure and you go hard, that's a good set. But to do a sets of failure and have someone be able to assist you with like an extra 10 extra forced reps where they're pushing it down in the negative with you, and then you get to ride the weight up and they're gonna help push it back. Sets like that, where it doesn't even feel like you're pushing the weight anymore. You can't even like it doesn't even feel like your muscles are contracting, but they still are. That's a special set. So if you got some gym bros around you or anybody pretty capable, ask them for some help like that. You won't regret it. Just all right, let's move on to machine dips. That'll be good next. So even though this is the stack, I mean, it's the end, not even at the end, it's an eventual coming of, what the hell am I trying to say here? You're eventually going to reach a state where you're going to hit a machine where the stack is not enough. Unfortunate fucking affair, but whatever. Let's fucking make do here. So even though this is not necessarily as much weight as I can handle, it will be a good set. Because I'm not going to sit here and just pump out reps quick with a light weight. You know, it's just not going to do enough damage. At least not in a quick fashion. You know, if I sat here and really tried to pump out reps, I might get like 30, I don't know. So instead, these are going to be more methodical. You know, I'm talking really squeezed at the bottom. Now, you're looking at me sideways, but when I'm doing these, I don't really, well, for one thing, I can't even tuck my arms straight back. Like, this is as close as they get to my body. My lats are kind of in the way. But as I push down, I'm not just pushing straight down inward. I'm almost trying to push my hands out, as though I'm trying to pull these fucking handles apart. The same kind of approach applies to any straight bar push down too. You are going to be able to feel it in your triceps a little more, at least I have. When I don't only imagine, I was going to combine imagine and envision. When I don't only imagine just pushing down, I also try to imagine pulling the handle apart. And what that'll do is help you kind of get a little more of this squeezing at the bottom sort of action. If you're using a rope, you don't have to think about it that much. The rope will naturally do that. But let's get a squeezing set in here. Yeah. Yeah. Oh man. One more. Yeah. 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 Oh, that's my shots. Oh shit. Oh yeah. Oh. One more. Holy crap. Whew. Oh yeah. Oh my god. Okay. Holy crap. Those were really good. Those were really fucking good sets. And I've got something to say. I've got a speech I was thinking about a second ago. And this isn't like a make or break thing for now. Right? Be you a beginner lifter, a semi-experienced lifter. If you're training hard, your training is going to work, right? But there is sort of a little bit of a learning curve to pushing through the uncomfortability of a set. Like ideally, I would take every set that I do to the point where I physically cannot move anymore. Like I would have preferred to be able to sit here and do these tricep pushdowns to the point where I can't even like flex my triceps enough to move the weight. I'm not at that level yet. But the sets where you know the only thing that's going to stop you from doing another rep is just, oh, it's getting hard, it's getting uncomfortable. That's where you got to power through. And that's where it's going to help you to not get attached to the numbers. Don't get attached to the numbers of a certain weight that you want to hit. Because if in your mind you get the number 12, you get 12 reps locked in, like, okay, I'm going to do, if I do this for 12, that'll be good. Odds are you're going to pick a number that you know you can do. And then when you get to 12 reps of that dumbbell curl or 12 reps of that bench, you're going to rack it because you just fucking hit your trigger system in your mind. It's like you got a fucking, you're taking a profit stop? Yeah. I don't remember. You're taking profits at 12 because you're like, oh, I didn't think I could do any more than that. Dude, no. No. Right? Sets where you know you're going to failure, you have to try to take it as far as fucking possible and not listen to that voice in your head that's saying like, okay, that's enough. Because that is never enough. You know, your brain, your subconscious fucking lizard brain that just runs off of like instincts in here, it doesn't want to go hard. It doesn't want to do these sets because it's not like a threat to your life. Your brain is telling you, stop, this fucking hurts. You got to fight that. And if you can really get hyped up, you've got to turn that off completely. But let's move on to some finishers for triceps. I think some cross body single arm extensions. And then move on to dumbbells for bias. Yeah, this would be perfect right here. I'm talking lightweight. This is only 20 pounds on each hand. Oh my God. Okay. I think that's fucking enough. Get some dumbbell curls going. All right, actually I lied. Sneak peek pose down. Of course, this is only with a tricep pump, but I don't think that takes away from the quality. Already some freakiness popping up into the bicep itself, but the real star of the show at this current moment is the fucking tricep. So it is beefy as all hell. Honestly, to the point where I can still touch my shoulder, which honestly kind of just means I'm not fully pumped. But Tri's got some blood in him. Let's get by started for real. I think 60s would be a good weight. I just need to pick a better song. Okay. I'm not done. I'm just doing a little pause rep, or rest pause, I mean. Oh, yeah, okay. Whew. Oh my God, dude. These dumbbells are feeling fucking heavy at 2,500 calories. Solid set though. A few more just like that. Good. All right, same thing. Not done yet. Okay. Holy shit. That is a solid fucking intensifier. I love the pause, or the rest pause like that. And nothing that fancy either. No drop set, no nothing. Just push yourself hard. Take a break for like 20 seconds, 10 seconds. Do a few extra reps. Yeah, I fucking love it. Still not done. Just want to mix the blood around first. Oh my god, fine. Okay. Let's move on to something else. Not totally sure what. Some kind of curl, obviously. This curl machine's pretty cool. I just know that I like the feeling of it, so that's why I want to do it next. Yeah. One more. Oh my god. Holy crap. I think that's enough of this machine. I'm torn on what I want to do next. Light bulb moment. I know. So this may not seem immediately like an awesome movement. I know it definitely didn't for me when I first tried it, or when I first saw it, but this is fucking badass. And I wish I saw this a little bit more. Well, actually, maybe that's not true. It's kind of a funky movement. I'll explain. So, seat. I guess you could do this on the ground if you want. I'd rather grab a bench. Straight bar, high up, underhanded, and I'm talking pull downs. But I'm not working my lats. I'm taking my lats completely out of the equation here, at least as much as I can. And I'm only trying to focus on this. Like, if you're doing a regular pull down, even if I was doing like an underhand pull down, you know, I'd be focused on trying to pull the bar down, get my shoulders back. No, no, no. The logic here is I'm trying to purely isolate this part of my upper arm, or I guess just my whole arm, and just do this curling motion. So I'm not necessarily trying to pull the bar closer to my body like a row. I'm really just trying to use everything from my shoulder deep to pull the bar towards my shoulder joint. You know, like if you hyper fucking zoom in here and enhance and green screen out everything else, all my arm is doing is straight to bent, just like a curl. And the strength curve of this is pretty fucking cool because it gets basically, well, I don't know, it's kind of hard to describe, but I can say for sure the squeeze at the bottom is fucking sick. So I'm gonna do a few sets here, see what happens. These could very well be the finishing sets too. Okay. That actually might be a little light. That was a good set though, just a few too many reps. So in my mind, what I'm going to do to counteract that is on my next set, I'm going to pre-exhaust with cable curls. I got 2 cables right next to me, an empty gym, perfect for a superset. So I'll do a set of curls over here as the initial burnout, and then finish with these as the squeeze. Definitely something to at least try. I'm never really gonna do a full bicep workout where this is the only movement, but I do like it. I definitely like it. Okay. Oh. Failure gets a little bit tricky to decipher on these because as my biceps get weaker, my lats start to kind of help. So in a way, I'm self-spotting my biceps with my lats. So that's kind of where I have to judge it based on the burn and call it. But I think that's it. Arms is only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 sets. And this is this is not a pump that I would think of as like, oh, I have not done enough. And you are right. You are right. Actually, I'll save this for after the pump. Let's put this down first while it's still at its craziness. Yeah, what the heck was I thinking? Only a fool would sit here and flap his gums and delay checking out his fucking arm pump when it's at its peak. But let's take a look. So this is powered off of about 200 grams of protein so far, 60 grams of fat, and 100 grams of carbs. So I've got some food to eat. I think I've got like 800 calories or so left. A good chunk, definitely a decent chunk. So let's see, make sure I'm staged right in the middle. That's not a bad front relaxed, as far as I'm fucking concerned. Oh man. All right, what other poses are there? Ooh, muscular's looking pretty fucking wide. Nowhere near the real beasts who know how to do it right. I'm talking Marcus Rule-esque legends. But it is cool to fucking look at yourself bigger than you typically are and get to see, I mean, pretty much the results that you're going to be able to get in the future. That's the whole point, man. Or not the whole point, but that's a pretty fucking cool aspect of being pumped up. Is since size is the goal, me getting to look at my arms an extra like half inch or whatever bigger than they normally are walking around. This is like a glimpse into the future, right? So eventually my arms should be this big just walking around. And by then, when I'm fully pumped, the pump will be even bigger. It's just a constant fucking feedback loop. But if I were to say one thing specifically about the movements that were done today, those dumbbell curls, those heavy kind of alternating, just basic strapped in dumbbell curls, I would kind of categorize that as the mass builder per se. I think that's a bad way to even describe it, but I feel like I'm hitting my whole fucking bicep. You know, if I grab some big ass fucking dumbbells and I'm sitting here curling them, I feel like I'm just hitting my whole fucking bicep, like down here, over here, all over the fucking place. Kind of pull downs like here. I'm feeling a lot of shit down here in this little corner area, plus brachialis. I'm not so lean that it's really jumping out at you, but there's pretty much this kind of fancy pants muscle in here that plays along with your biceps. And doing shit like a straight bar curl, you'll feel it. Those bicep curls or bicep biased pull downs, I feel it, where you're almost pulling your arm up and out in a way. It kind of gets a little bit of this going. But if you know a movement where you can kind of feel a little bit of extra stuff out here, or maybe you know when you do basic dumbbell curls, you feel a lot kind of on this side, then just change it up, you know? That's part of the reason why I like changing from those straight bar or D handle push downs to those dips and then back to the crossbody ones. It's not only because I like a different amount of movements and like, oh, this feels good and I know this feels good. What else is coming into play in my mind, which is kind of subconscious? I'm not like really thinking about this crazy manually just because I already know it in my head. But my exercise selection for these workouts is, for one, I want to do movements that feel good for me. So if my bicep was kind of tweaked today, or if my forearm was a little bit tender, like let's say I did rows way too heavy and I kind of pulled some kind of tendon in here, and doing heavy dumbbell curls kind of hurt me a little, then I would pick something lighter, or I could just do light dumbbell curls, really focus more so on squeezing, and that would be the way that I lift. And after doing movements that I know are going to feel good for my specific build, that specific day, if incline barbell hurts my shoulder, I'm not going to do incline barbell. After that's kind of been decided, and I know what movements I can do and which ones I shouldn't, then I end up picking the ones where I know if I do 2 sets of this, I'm going to feel a lot of long head. If I do 2 sets of this, I'll probably just feel my whole tricep going. And then maybe I'll finish with the rope and like that'll get a little bit of extra long head again. Or when I do those dips, like when I'm sitting there doing those dips and I'm pushing the weight sideways, I feel my whole tricep, but I feel a lot up here, this kind of short head, you know, like I'm sitting, big stretch. So I'm stretching the whole thing. And at the bottom, this extra bit of oomph, I get a little bit of cooler shit up here. So, you know, sometimes I do kind of a poor job of actually explaining it, but the basic approach to all my lifts is I want to hit whatever muscle I can, or whatever muscle I'm hitting that day in its entirety, and, you know, just try to fucking hit it from all angles, you know? Like, if my arm day today was a fucking boxer standing in front of me, right, here's what I'm thinking. Boom, headshot. Boom, headshot. Oh, duck jab, body shot. Like, hit it from all angles. And I know at the end of it, combined with my training experience, I'm going to be fully fucking pumped, you know? So that's where, as the beginner, don't be so concerned with like trying to come up with the fanciest workouts or like trying to really dial in your, you know, your stimulus to fatigue ratio. Just get used to the gym, man. Get used to doing sets. You know, by now, I have done, let's try to do some basic math here. So I'm coming up on 6 years of lifting. And even from the beginning, it was pretty much, I got into it like daily. So that's 6 times 350. That's like, so that's almost that's like 2,000 lifts. 2,000 fucking lifts. And let's break that down just into arms, into biceps. I do biceps about twice a week. So that'd be, or what would that add up to? Like 600 arm days. So every arm day ends up being 8 sets average. So that's 600. I don't know how many reps I've done. Thousands. Thousands of fucking different reps of bicep curls of every fucking way imaginable. Bent over dumbbell, fucking cable curls, different kind of tempo reps. Once you've gotten a little bit of kind of experience and you've lifted for long enough, then you can be a little bit more concerned with like, okay, I know that I want to do this, and then see how it feels, and then say, okay, now I want to do this. But until you get to that point, don't fucking like, don't make it seem like I'm like training more fancy than anybody else. I've just got a little more experience. I'm just a little ahead of the game. So if that's you, just fucking make sure that you feel it. Whether you're doing dumbbell curls or easy bar or cable or preacher or whatever, just make sure that those sets are fucking hard. Because if the difference in gains, the difference in stimulation is fucking this big, if that, between doing a crazy ass baller set of preacher curls to all the way to failure versus a crazy fucking baller set of cable curls, you know? So I think there is benefit to doing specific movements at specific times and kind of judging it based off of like how your body feels that day. But until you get to the point where you kind of really have a good grasp of that, just stick to your basic workouts, do whatever movement you think is going to be good at the time. Go hard. That is the most important part of this fucking function. Get a pump, go home, eat, rest, and do it again. So just a time game, right? I can tell that I'm much better I'm just better at lifting now that I'm 6 years deep than I was fucking 1 year deep, or 2 years deep, or even 3. Honestly, I think I'm better at lifting right now than I was a year ago, even if it's only a little bit. And that's the whole deal, man. And the fun part is, you don't even have to be fucking putting too much effort into it. You don't have to be constantly every day spending hours researching fitness papers and like muscle stimulating. Just by working out and going to the gym on a consistent basis, as long as you apply yourself a bit and you're putting in constant effort, you're just going to get good at it because you're in the space. Iron sharpens iron in a way, right? Like, even if I had no coach, if I had no training approach, if I had no real direction, but if I took a basketball to the court every morning for 1 hour and I just kept shooting, I'm going to get better at shooting. Just because I'm going to make my own little minor adjustments. Like, oh crap, I am not on my game today. I've been making a lot. What am I doing differently? Just by doing something for a long time, you're going to get better at it. Because you're going to be more comfortable. You're going to be more used to it. I mean, literally, your brain is going to get rewired in a way to be able to send stronger signals to your muscles to keep firing even when it's starting to burn. And then if you combine that with trying to be a little bit attentive to just, things that anybody else says, or like asking more experienced guys for tips and things like that. Dude, do you know where the ceiling is? Because I can't see it, right? Sky's the limit, So don't be afraid of the fact that this is a long game. That's the fun part, If you get to the end of a really good show, you wish that it would just keep going, right? So this is me talking to the early bird lifter who's got some big ass dreams but isn't necessarily used to the workload of lift indefinitely. Look, man, that's the part you get to enjoy. When I look back over so I'm this big, and my goal is size. My goal is to grow, But when I look back at all the lifts I've done so far, I mean, I don't know. I'd have to be put in that situation. I'd have to rub a fucking magic. What the fuck is? I'd have to rub a fucking golden shaker cup like Aladdin, and have a goddamn genie pop out and say, "Sam, you want to fast forward 10 years worth of gains?" And I'd have to think about it for a second, because what's the point if you didn't actually do it yourself, If you took a Joe Schmo lifter and poof, you turn him into a fucking beast out of nowhere, that's not going to change who he is as a guy. Half the benefit of getting to a crazy amount of development is the fact that now you've got the mind of the guy who could do it, So something to think about. Something to fucking think about. But let's get in the car. My any wisdom in there has ceased to flow. All right, so one thing that you may or may not have noticed
It's not like an incredible like difference, but it is noticeable. My face is a little bit slimmer right now. You know, when I'm lean, when I diet for a consistent period of time, my face gets a little bit less puffy. You know, I don't have so a little bit more defined feature wise. You know, nothing crazy. I'm not out here looks maxing on the daily. But that is the nature of dieting. And depending on what your body fat percentage is right now, the way that you look can actually change pretty fucking substantially, you know? Now, that the biggest part of that change comes in that last few percent body fat. You know, if you're a 300 pounder, not in a good way, and you get down to 250, that might not be like an incredible change to your face. But if you're going from like 250 to like 180, you're going from like you're legit overweight to you're just a pretty lean dude, your face is going to look much different. And I mean, I'd be lying if I told you that that didn't have its fucking positives, you know? Like just just one of the many benefits of being in reasonable or being at in a low-ish body fat percentage. A lot of stuff is just kind of nicer for you, man. You know, you're not lugging around excess weight, which is literally just a fucking chore. You look better. You feel better. You're probably sleeping better. I mean, there's really only positives, you know. So if you're not in an ideal state right now, and I don't mean by my standards, I mean by your standards. Like if you know, like, oh crap, dude, what the fuck have I been doing the last few months? Shit. I keep telling myself I'm gonna do my cardio and I'm not doing it. I keep telling myself I'm gonna start like tracking my calories. I'm not doing it. You've only got benefits to fucking gain. You know, you've only got. Trying to think of another kind of phrase that matches that, but yeah, you know, you've only got positives based on that workload. The only negative is it's kind of a hassle, you know. But anything cool. I've said this a couple times. Anything cool that anybody does ever on any level, it's going to take a little bit of it's going to take at least a little bit of effort, you know. Nothing really cool comes at zero cost. And if it did, then it's not really that cool, you know. The value in a lot of things, not necessarily just like monetary shit, but the value of a lot of skills, proficiencies, you know, abilities that somebody can just have on their person, you know, in their mind. You can't buy it, you know. You have to go through the process of learning it yourself, or going through kind of some fucking trials, you know, depending on how you are gym wise and how much you like it. Lifting fucking daily, like doing an hour long hard workout every day for a whole year. Sorry for yawning. But for some people, that's fucking hell, man. So I don't really think it is. A lot of people just kind of overhype the difficulty of working out, unfortunately. But yeah, for some people, they're like, oh, dude, I would never want to do that. So, you know, if you're one of that 10% or whatever percent of people that can actually work out consistently, then you're doing something that the majority of people just aren't willing to do, you know? And that's cool. That is fucking cool. But what was I even about to say? Oh, yeah, yeah. So, right now, definitely a little. Oh, I can't fucking control myself here. Oh, my goodness. But yeah, right now, definitely a touch leaner than normal, than baseline, especially. So, I'm nearly done. Honestly, very nearly done. I might, I'll just have to see. I'll just have to see when I really decide to pull the trigger on the bulk. Which I'm not in a, I mean, I'm not in a rush. I don't need to start the bulk tomorrow, right? I do want to get a touch leaner because, in essence, I'm kind of cleaning up the shop, so to speak. You know, I was making this analogy to somebody earlier, talking about kind of sort of the benefits and the drawbacks of the bulking and cutting approach that I've been doing. And the bulking part for me, that's as though I'm a fucking sculptor. I got my hammer and chisel. I'm in my art studio and I am just slamming away at a block of marble. Ka-ching, ka-ching, I'm just slamming away at it. That's the fun part, you know? But in the process, you make a little bit of a mess. You got fucking rubble all over the place. That's what I think of as the body fat that I gained from the bulk, you know? Now, I've done some serious work and I've made some serious progress, but I've got some stuff to deal with, right? Excess body fat. That is not something that I need, you know, any more of. Oh, yeah. So, the purpose of the dieting phase right now, since I'm not doing a bodybuilding show, I'm just getting leaner so I can bulk up again, is just to clean off that debris, you know, kind of reset, get my insulin sensitivity back in a really solid range so that when I eat a crazy amount of food, I actually get to use it as energy and fuel for my muscle cells, not just immediately store it as fat. I don't know if you know how that works, but like anybody who's diabetic or they can't produce insulin, that becomes a pretty serious problem. You know, that's why they put on fat so much easier, is because when they have a bunch of sweets, all their blood sugar doesn't just immediately get partitioned into their fucking muscles, right, to be used as fuel for them. It just kind of floats around. And then it's an easy target to just be deposited as fat, you know? That's kind of diabetes in bro science terms. So if you eat too much food for too long, you're not going to pump out as much insulin as quickly. You're not going to be so insulin sensitive, as it were. My jargon might be a little off there, but that's another reason why I back off on the bulk during the dieting phase. Is basically so that my body's more sensitive to the calories, so to speak, and also appetite becomes an issue over time. You know, I'm trying to. Yeah, I'm so sorry. Oh, look at this. It's a late lift tonight. But that's another thing that I'm really trying to focus on this bulk, especially, is ensuring that I don't do anything that's going to crash my appetite too soon. You know, so I'm not going to try to do really big meals like I've done historically, because I know that if I keep stressing my system out like that, like eating 2,000 calories at a time, it's just not going to do me as good as eating 500 calorie meals evenly spread out throughout the day, you know? So as you bulk, eventually I'm going to get to a point where I just can't eat enough food to keep growing. I'm plateaued. I've pretty much gained as much as I'm going to be able to gain reasonably. It's time to cut the bulk off, diet down, reset the system. So we're getting close, but yeah. This has got to be the most freaking yawns in one car talk ever. But oh, what the hell was I about to say? Yeah, so finishing touches, definitely the finishing touches leanness wise. Yeah, fuck man, I don't foresee it going longer than a week, that's for sure. And especially once I open up the cupboard and I see all sorts of treats in there too. You know I got a sweet tooth. You know, I don't even have to say it. You know I like sweets. So I like making gym progress more. So that's kind of up to you. But I think that's all I gotta say, man. I'm a little too sleepy and carb depleted to come up with anything groundbreaking post lift wise. But basic gist, basic conclusion, I am freaking excited to start bulking. Tomorrow's gonna be a leg day. I'm gonna make sure I get a good night's rest. I'll probably have to sleep in just a touch. Trying to fight the yawn. And then, I don't know. I might not do crazy heavy squats. I feel like my lower back is a little bit sore because I keep just slamming, and I'm doing a little bit more volume. So maybe tomorrow, I think I might change my approach with quads, and instead of trying to do like almost 6 plates on the Smith machine, may only do just 3, but do like real kind of tempo-y, torturous reps instead. Or maybe the same thing on the hack squat. It's to be determined. But either way, I know I'm going to have a nasty ass quad pump, and I will do, yeah, I'll try to make sure I do a little bit of a comparison where I do like a little pre-pump pose down and then the regular pump post down after legs, and see if we can see a crazy noticeable difference. That pre-pump and post-pump check combination or comparison, that'll be much crazier and noticeable when I'm fully bulked up, I think. Well, not even I think, I know, because going from unpumped to really pumped on a bulk, let's just say it's a fucking different story than on a cut, just because we've had so many more fluids floating around the system, plus a bazillion grams of fucking carbs per day. But solid lift. Actually, today was a very solid lift, and then tomorrow will be as well. And I'm gonna do 30 minutes of something. 30 minutes of something tomorrow morning. I'm gonna take caffeine beforehand. I'm gonna be fasted, and I'm gonna be sweaty afterwards. Do you know what that is? I know you know, and I know you know I know you know. Right? Daily cardio. Highly recommended. So I'll leave you with that. It's a perfect little ender. So I'll see you tomorrow for a nasty ass leg day. I'll try to add I'll add a meal in there too as well. Kind of spice things up a little.